Welcome back to another video, and today I'll be discussing the newest makeup announcements and releases. Welcome back, and today we'll be discussing the newest makeup announcements and releases that have been made during the last week or so. About today's video, I do think we have quite a few things to go through. There are a few like sneak peeks of upcoming, especially like indie palettes that I'm gonna just feature. I'm probably gonna do them editing wise, that if the palette's contents have been revealed by the time I am editing this, then I will include them in the sort of like sneak peek section, and then I'm gonna properly discuss them in my like next video. But I am aware that there are like few palettes that I think a lot of people are probably expecting quite highly, but they just have not been like, the insides of them have not been shown yet as I am filming this. But that was a bit of a like something to consider, but now let's start talking about the actual things that have been revealed. Okay, so first thing from Maybelline, and I believe this has been available on TikTok shop, so this is the Peel Off Lip Liner Lip Stain. So this Maybelline very much going to the trend of these peel off lip stains. I have been quite vocal on my channel that this is not my preferred method of applying any kind of lip stain or lip tint. So for me this is a skip, but I do believe these have been quite trendy, maybe probably in the audiences that are a bit more younger than me. But if you are into this kind of a makeup product, this has been available on TikTok shop, and I assume it's probably gonna make soon to also other Maybelline retailers. So Milani is releasing some new, I believe, baked powders. So these are the baked blurring finishing powders. So because it's a finishing powder, I assume it's not maybe, it's maybe more meant to be like something that will tie up your makeup together rather than something as fully like mattifying. So if you are into your like finishing powders and Milani is something that is accessible for you, you can at least get these on US all test. And probably if you live in Europe like I do, it's probably gonna take some time for these to come to the European retailers, because usually with Milani products it does take time. Essence has released a new limited edition collection. This is very much looks like a summer collection. So this is the Ciao collection with a Dolce Vita vibes. I do like the kind of lemon Italian summer this like theme this has going for it, but then again when I'm looking at individually of the products, there's a few merch things included in this one. I think there is blush, and then there are some lip balms, and then there is a mini Lash Princess mascara included in this one. So, well, I do think the theme of this one is cute, but when again you look closely actually what is included in this particular launch, not something that I'm interested in, but again maybe for a bit more like younger makeup users I can kind of see this being very trendy, and because Essence is pretty inexpensive, so it's quite accessible to a lot of people. From e.l.f. there is actually like a couple of things to go through. So first one, e.l.f. is going to be releasing a new setting spray. So this is the Power Grip Rose Setting Spray. So this is probably meant to be one of those like gripping like setting sprays that make like hold your makeup a bit better. So apparently it's supposed to be a refreshingly, that is definitely not a easy word for a non-native speaker, a refreshingly fine brightening by-pace setting spray infused with rose water and pink pearl. I do think that if you don't like rose scent, because for example I'm not a fan of rose scent in cosmetics, I adore like the scent of fresh roses, but I don't like usually the scent that they put in cosmetic products. So for me as a purely scent wise, this probably is not something that I would be into, but it is says that there's like pink pearl for a glistening finish, so I do think this is probably not gonna be a like mattifying setting spray, but more of a something that's gonna give you a bit of a glow. And then they are coming out with these main stain lip markers. So I think Huda Beauty was the first brand that sort of like launched this kind of product, at least in the like more like Western market. But now we have seen like NYX has brought out their variation of this particular product. I actually did swatch out one of the NYX products in our stores. They actually came out relatively quickly, and I do have to say the swatch was pretty long lasting. So I do think like if you want to try this kind of product out and you are looking for something very long lasting, I will give them credit. The swatch really lasted through the whole day on my hand, even though I tried to wipe it off. I do think I was able to get it off with an oil-based cleanser. So for maybe like if you're looking for a very long stay lip product and you want to try this from e.l.f., then maybe this could be something of interest to you. I was bit because it was quite difficult to remove. I have made the decision that I didn't buy the next variation of this kind of product, and because it is a bit on the more difficult side to remove, I think this is maybe not something I'm at least currently like in the mood to try out, but who knows, maybe later on I could at some point be tempted to try one of these lip markers. So Laura Mercier is coming out with a secret camouflage custom complexion Perfector longwear concealer. So this I think is a concealer palette that has there's like 3 different variations. You kind of get a neutral shade, warm shade, and a cool shade. This kind of looks like a product that might be geared towards makeup artists. Because this doesn't look that big, this could also be a consumer-friendly way, but I'm just thinking that usually individual consumers just like to buy one shade of concealer and they are good with it, but maybe if you are into maybe doing custom shades of concealer, maybe this could be something to try out, but for me, I think the convenience is just easier to buy one single concealer shade and go with it, but as I said, also for a makeup artist, this could be a good product to have in their kit. Perfector has launched quite a big product, so there is some blushes, and I think there is some, what are the lip products included in this one? Why isn't there's, or wait, are those actually also blushes? So I think there is, yeah, it actually is saying that say hello to the transition blush collection, so I think also the liquid products that kind of look like his lip gloss packaging, I think those are actually also like liquid blushes. And I think the theme of this collection is that these are meant to be like transition blushes, so when you're looking at the shade, some of them are maybe looking a bit paler, and also one of the shades is very like yellow orangey looking, so I think the idea of this is that these are maybe supposed to like complement his main blush range. On a fair skin tone, however, I will say I could probably use all of these shades just as blushes. So I think depending on your skin tone, I'm a bit like questioning this, that yeah, like how necessary is it really, like, because I think if you own a lot of like blush palettes, for example, I do like, okay, I know a lot of people are not like me who own a ridiculous amount of blush palettes that do have a gradient of shades, but I'm just thinking that usually, again, for a maybe a bit more mainstream consumer, usually they just want to get 1 or 2 favorite blush shade and go with them. So I'm kind of questioning that, are we just releasing more blush shade and trying to maybe brand them in a different way to maybe trick consumers into buying them, or are we actually releasing something that a lot of people want? As I said, I would just maybe buy these purely for like having more blush shade, and because these are more fair shades, these would actually be quite suitable for me. The liquid blush formula is also something that I don't think, because Perfector, the blush duos that made him pretty popular, those have cream formulas, but then we haven't seen cream blushes, I think, in the kind of format that these are coming out in this particular collection. So I'm a bit like 50-60 about this collection, that how necessary is it, like in terms of how they're advertising these kind of transition blush shades, because as I said, for a lot of people, these could also work just as blushes, and then I think that people who maybe are into this having like more like gradient of blush shades, then those people kind of just tend to like buy blush palettes that have like then also the more like mid-tone and deeper blush shades, and then the paler ones in sort of one product. And also because it's Perfector, these are probably going to be pretty pricey. Yeah, so dual-ended, okay, so the blush brush is $40, and yeah, the blush duos are $30, and then the liquid blushes are $34. I do think the transition in blush duos, those might be a bit of a smaller packaging compared to the like normal sized blush duos, so that could be why they are a bit maybe cheaper, because I do remember the blush duos, those are not exactly cheap if you buy them in the big packaging. Yeah, for me, I'm not maybe 100% on board how they are marketing this particular collection, but if you like these shades or the Perfector formula in general, I'm sure you're gonna be liking these nevertheless. I think this was the biggest like news of this week. So Marc Jacobs Beauty, it was one of the most hyped luxury brands, and this was just on the time when I started like watching makeup YouTube, and then we had the pandemic, and then Marc Jacobs, suddenly all the products went on sale, and then the brand just disappeared. I do believe what happened is that the trademark of the Marc Jacobs Beauty, this was sold to another like umbrella brand, and now they've been working on for quite a while to release this. And I do have to say, this is very different from what we saw previously. I do think the products that we had in the when the brand was still under the previous like ownership, those it was very like this sleek traditional luxury makeup packaging. This on the other hand looks to be very like, I'm gonna say this is a bit Gen Z coded, would be how I would describe this. I'm not mad at this, but I do think maybe some people like maybe are not maybe that happy about this, because it is definitely like different kind of packaging. We're not getting the same products. The formulas have probably changed, of course, because again, a new ownership, and it's been like a good while since the previous brand's product even existed. But I do have to say, I am the blush sticks with the flower packaging that I think comes from the very popular perfume that they have. Those look cute. I'm not usually into buying individual eyeshadows. Maybe the star-shaped eyeshadow singles are maybe those are maybe a bit kid makeup-esque when I'm looking at them. Eyeliners are not something that I use. The lipsticks are also looking quite nice. The mascara is kind of okay. The bronzer is actually quite cute. I do like the small flower detail, and I do think the bronzer packaging actually looks kind of cool. I have no idea is this going to be available in Europe. I do believe, I think I watched Angelica Nyqvist's makeup news video, and I think on her video it said that these are going to be available in US Sephora's, but I am a bit unsure, are these gonna come to European retailers during the initial launch. But there are like things that I like about this one, but it is definitely very different kind of vibe than the previous Marc Jacobs that we used to know, the beauty brand previously. Okay, and then we're actually seeing the first fall collection. It's a bit too early for fall. I'm not ready for fall. We're barely having like summer. We're just having like have had the first warm summer days. So I'm not ready for fall collection. So you've been warned. So SUQQU's Autumn 2026 collection has been revealed. It's a bit of a frosty looking collection for a fall collection. I would expect this maybe be more of a winter collection just based on how it is looking, but apparently it is fall. But very cool tone, especially when I look at the eyeshadow palettes, the individual eyeshadows, and also the like ombre blushes. Very like SUQQUU does the color coordination of their collections very well. Easy skip for me, but if you are thinking what to expect from luxury brands for fall, this is at least what we are getting from SUQQUU. Then a luxury release that I would very much want one of the quads from, but unfortunately this is apparently China exclusive, at least so far. So these are YSL quads, and these are apparently released for a Chinese Valentine's Day, which is different than the Western Valentine's Day. And the burgundy millesime one is something that is very, like, I wasn't the biggest fan. I do have one of the YSL quads I bought from their Christmas collection a few years ago, and there were things that I liked about it and things that I didn't like about it, especially considering the pricing. But the burgundy one, that looks very beautiful. If you want to get this in Europe and also I think globally, so Chic Profile in Instagram, she is a private shopper, and I believe she has said that you can buy these through her, but because she is a like personal or private shopper, there's obviously going to be a commission when you buy these from her. But if you really want to get one of these, there is like at least now a way for you to get them, but just be aware that you are going to have to pay the price. But I did want to mention that because just having seen people's comment, I do know for a lot of luxury like fanatics, these are probably looking as appealing as they are looking for me. The orangey one, not something that I'm interested in. Also a bit curious, the orange one has a very pale pink packaging. I don't think the insides and the packaging match. But the burgundy one, the packaging and insides, 10 out of 10. I would get this if this would be available on a Western department store. But at least so far, as I said, these are China exclusive. So Makeup Revolution has come out with a full-on new collection. So this is the Bouncy collection, and we get some blushes, there are some highlighters, and then we have some eyeshadow quads. I'm actually not mad at the highlighters and the eyeshadow quads, so because it's the highlighters and the blushes, the eyeshadow quads are something that I'm not that into. But because it's a Bouncy collection, the highlighters are kind of this kind of squishy formula. You can go watch on their Instagram, they have demonstrated, so if you are into that kind of aesthetics. But yeah, as I said, the blushes and highlighters are kind of cute, not something that I'm gonna just go on my way and buy, but if some of these come to our Evolution retailers eventually, maybe I could grab one or two things. But yeah, as a collection I actually do think this is kind of cute. While not everything, as I said, is not my favorite, I do like the blushes and highlighters, they are nice. Okay, and I completely forgot to mention this on the e.l.f. section, which would have made the editing part of this one very easier, but oh well, here we go. So aside from the previous e.l.f. launches, we are also getting some powders, and I believe these are meant to dupe the Givenchy powders. Givenchy though hasn't been like, Givenchy is probably the brand that made these 4-color powders the most popular, but we have also seen other brands coming out with similar. For example, Moira has also these loose powders in different, like in 4 different colors in their collection. So e.l.f. is not the first drugstore brand to do their variation. So what the purpose of these powders are is that they are meant to be more of a color correcting powders rather than purely being setting powders. And I'm still thinking that if I would want to try this kind of powder, I would actually buy the Moira one, because the Moira one has gotten quite good reviews and Moira's pricing compared to the quality is pretty good. But if you don't want to pay the Givenchy prices and you're looking for a drugstore option, e.l.f. now has an option to try out if you are into these 4-colored powders. Also, there is another release for the sort of Chinese Valentine's Day. So this is Tom Ford, and they are bringing out duos. These are pretty cute. I do have to say the pink and obviously, like, newsflash, the pink duo for me is the most appealing in this one. Again, I don't think, unfortunately, these are going to be available in Western market. Also, I do think from Tom Ford that if you are going to go out and spend your money on Tom Ford, then I would expect at least quads, because I think for a duo is not something that I would at least be able to do a cohesive eye look with, especially because these seem to be satin only shades. But as I said, the pink one it's very cute, but this is, unlike the YSL, this is not something that I'm too upset about that I can't get. We also did get a new collection from GlamShop, and this is a very going for iridescent, I think more like festival vibes when I look at the aesthetics. So especially the eyeshadow palette, the eyeshadow palette is kind of meh. I was kind of like, initially when I just saw the first promo video, I was kind of thinking, okay, it looks like something colorful, but the eyeshadow palette basically, it's full of like these iridescent shimmers, and you do actually get some mattes, but I'm not also a huge fan of how the mattes are compiled within this particular palette. Aside from the palette, in this collection there are some, I think there are some eyeliners, there is I believe there was lip oils, and then we get some liquid blushes. So I do think this is it's a cute collection, but not necessarily something. I think there's also like a pressed powder included in this one. Yeah, not something that I'm into from them. I do actually think the previous eyeshadow palette launch, which was a neutral palette launch, was much more exciting. I would hope that, I'm not usually a fan of having these iridescent shimmers in my eyeshadow palette. I can like do with one, but I don't like to have like all the shimmers to be this sort of iridescent shimmers. I do like my shimmers to have a bit of opaqueness to them. Then from Cheeryep Cosmetics, so they are launching 2 new eyeshadow palettes. So this is a C Beauty brand, but I do believe from, especially in terms of like indie brand users, this is a more popular C Beauty brand. And I do actually like the fact that they do like proper palettes, and their palettes kind of have fun themes. I did feature their spring palette in one of my videos. So we are getting 2 ones, and one of them is a more, what I would say, grungier, cool toned version, and then we get a very like fun, I think this was like carnival themed one, which is the orangey one. The orangey one, unfortunately, there is like one of the pan has these like adhesive glitters in it. They are like star-shaped glitters, but I would not want to put those in my eyes. Those look like a eye hazard when I saw the swatches of them. But the more like grungier, cool toned one, that actually looks pretty appealing. Bit surprised about the grungier, cool toned one. That for me looks more like a fall release. The orangey one definitely, like I can see this being it's a very on the nose summer palette, but the more cool toned variation, bit surprised that they are launching it now, but I do actually, as I said, I kind of like the cool toned variation. I should really try this brand out, because I do have seen like quite positive things about them. I think they were momentarily available on Monolith Shop, but I don't think they necessarily sold that well on the platform, because I haven't seen their newest collections being restocked. But I could get this on YesStyle. The shipping might take a while, but yeah, I'm gonna put this maybe as a brand on my watch list, because I have been liking especially some of the palettes they have come out with, and as I said, I've seen from reviews that the quality should be pretty decent. Okay, and then we're on the end of the video, and this is dedicated to sneak peek. So both Monolith Shop and Blend Bunny are teasing a new release. The Monolith Shop palette is going to be shown on the day I'm filming this, but unfortunately it's gonna be shown later, so unfortunately I don't have the palettes inside yet. Based on a lot of like like images from individual shades that have been already posted about this palette. It's gonna be some kind of purple grungy green palette with maybe few pinks in it, at least based on like as I said, a lot of people who have gotten this in PR have been teasing it. So that is coming, and I think the launch date for this one is going to be actually on the 29th of May, so it's actually is going to be launching on the week that this video is going live on Monolith Shop own website. So Monolith Shop is going to be having their like own brand now, so this is going to be the first release of them. So we are getting an eyeshadow palette from the Monolith Shop's own brand. Then the Blend Bunny release, this has been also teased that it is going to be a 30 shades for the Mushroom Nymph, so it's gonna be some kind of foresty fairy themed one. I am kind of liking when I'm looking at especially the cover of the Blend Bunny palette, so this could be a very me palette, but let's see how the insides look. And yeah, so with the Monolith Shop palette, you definitely are going to be seeing the insides of the palette when I post this. With the Blend Bunny palette, let's see when I'm gonna be able to edit this, if they have revealed that because I usually edit these videos on Monday, so if they have revealed this tomorrow when I'm editing, then you're also gonna see the Blend Bunny palette. But those were all the releases that I had to discuss for this week. Those were all the relaunches for this week. What were my favorites? I'm kind of holding out for the Blend Bunny palette to see how it's gonna look. Also, I do think like from the Marc Jacobs launch, there were a couple of things that I'm eyeing, but as I said, with that particular brand, a bit unsure about the European availability, when it's gonna come, what products are gonna come, how are they gonna be priced. I think that's a very relevant question. But those were maybe like sort of my highlights from this week launches. If you like this video, push the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell button if you want to get notifications from our future content. You can also find me with the same nickname, Makeup Hedgehog on Instagram. I hope I can see you in the video. Bye bye!